Hi, welcome.
Hi.
My name is Dr. Adil Rafiz. If you're on here, you probably have been invited by myself or one of the wonderful people who actually created this and asked for us to do this. So we have just kicked off a program called Build Your Own Empire, which is a year-long program about creating your life and your business. But leading up to this, we're on the last module of business upgrade. We have had a business whispering class earlier this year, and we've got another one coming up in September. And we've got Build Your Own Empire. And it's just such an interesting time in the world because we've continually had to be in question and still had to tweak a few things around, can we talk about money and business and keeping on creating? And with everything going on in the world, we're literally locked into our houses. How is this going to work? Is it insensitive? Is it not being aware? What is this? And interestingly enough, in my life and for my business, we're going through a boom. We're going through a boom period. And the participants on these calls and on these classes and on these programs are having really, well, I will let them speak for themselves. I'm not going to tell you what their experiences are, but the fact that the feedback that I've been getting and them saying, hey, can we have a conversation about this, that we open up to a wider audience on a bigger platform, because there's some really cool stuff going on here, is just so exciting for me. It's so exciting for my body and it's exciting for my business. So I would love to welcome all of you, whether you're me or not, familiar with the work and the programs that I do or not, because the point of today's call was literally to have a roundtable chat or a discussion, to invite you to more and to join the happy train that we're on and the creation train that we are on, to help us all create more. And it doesn't matter what stage of life or business you may be in. So take it away, roundtable.
Yeah, I mean, this is a program which began, has it been a week already? Since the time it's been
No, there's 2 days till the week. We had a session on Wednesday.
5 days. And then I really like how it was quite a deep dive already, like for me, like with having to factor in various elements that we can start looking at our business from, like the different lenses from where we can start looking at our business from. And then even for me personally, there's been the last couple of months, there's been this, what's the word? Having used the tools and having worked with you with whatever other programs that I've been on, there is this level of ease with my business. At the same time, there's that thing of, hey, you just cannot sit around anymore, right? Like you've got to take actions, and then these actions are directly yielding results or changes that are very visible, right? So for me, Build Your Own Empire, the first call was a brilliant kickoff to look at your business from a perspective that I probably have never given myself the permission to, and start looking at it from places that really invite you to look at, hey, what is it that you would really like to have, like with your business? Like, what's the kind of clarity that you'd like? What is the kind of commitment that you'd like? What is the kind of commitment that you're willing to add to it? What does it mean during these times? So, can you tell us a little more about what it has been for you personally over the last few months, with regards to, did you have to take very drastic, big measures for you to keep your business the way it is? Or was it like, how is it for you to mold into these couple of months?
Yeah, many of you that do know me, actually maybe you don't know like the behind the scenes, right? I think in today's day and age, and this is part of the enigma that business is everything looks wonderful on the outside in everyone's business, and we don't know what's actually going on and how people actually run their businesses behind the scenes. But for me, before Corona hit and before we went into lockdown, I was probably 50-50 in terms of live events and classes with people in the room, and then 50% one-on-one consultations or private sessions or coaching. And then, but also from that 50% that is one-on-one, I have a lot of clients in New Zealand, and probably another 45% of those clients were in person. So they would come to see me because they live in the same city as me. So with Corona, there goes the 50% that's live events and all of the flights and all of the classes and everything that was scheduled. And then there goes the 45% of people that see me in person. And so for a minute, it was like, huh. And for many of us, I mean, we were on a call. I was actually talking to you that we only called off the Singapore class a week before the world started going into lockdown. It was only at that point, because in March, when, you know, Corona started to be heard about, we're thinking, well, this is fine. Our classes don't kick off till April. And then from April, we had Singapore, and then India, and then I was going to go to Rome for Maestro and then go back to India, and then we had advanced classes for this year, and we were looking at adding in more countries. And we've always had the possibility of live streaming our classes, but it's been a pretty small component, to be honest. Probably about 10 to 20% of participants have been online. The bulk and the type of the classes that I facilitate, it's really in person and in the room that that experience had been built around. Because when you say a body class, when you talk about being facilitated, you want it to be in person. And I'm a people's person. I'm a connection person. I like to be in the room with people. So it was interesting times. And yet there was this real, for me, there was this really exciting energy to a degree, because for years, something I had been wanting to do was make most, if not all, of my consulting work online. So with lockdown, even everyone that lived in Auckland had to take their sessions online. So suddenly I'm still able to work, but everyone's doing it online. And like I could do 90% of the work that I do online. The only part I couldn't do was hands-on body work. But for those of you that might know about the body whispering classes and sessions, that's just exploded in terms of how the results that we're getting with distance sessions now. So I'll talk to you about the benefits, like the beauty that's come out of this period is, and then the second thing we did is we went, getting a sense that we could make the classes work online, completely online. And the kind of lockdown New Zealand was in, we couldn't even have anyone from outside of our home in our home with us. So it was me and it was my husband in the house for 6 weeks. Nobody else. And so I couldn't even say have like a class with 2 people, like 5 people or 10 people with me. And I'd never done that before. But the energy and the awareness and the information was, it can work. Try it, see what happens. So the whole team, I had Smriti going to me, this isn't a lot of time. And I had myself going, I don't know how people are going to go with me not being able to put my hands on them. I had all these people who'd never done a class before, trusting and believing and paying for a class that they were going to do from Europe or the other side of the world and do it completely virtually. So no pressure. And then let alone all the logistics and all of that, right? So long story short, the classes were actually amazing, both the body whispering and the business whispering. But this other weird thing is at this time where there's meant to be real global concern around economy and things shutting down and finances drying up, my business was only getting busier and busier, and more clients were referring more clients, and countries I'd never I have clients in countries like Israel and the Palestinian part of Israel and France and Lebanon and countries I've never been to, and they were just like referring and referring and referring and growing, and this thing wasn't translating the information, the cognitive information about how the world's meant to be ending, money's meant to be drying up, and everyone's going to be in an economic depression and a crash soon, wasn't what was being translated into my business. At the same time, I'm able to really tweak everything that I had wanted to for perhaps a long time around how I structure my schedule, how I schedule days that I do online, all of this stuff. It was able to be overhauled, and I pretty much created like my ideal scenario for now, for this phase that my business is in. It'll probably need to change again quite soon as it goes into next growth phase. But yeah, we had phenomenal responses and amazing. What I loved about it was that real attraction of not just the fact that the clients and the participants were coming, but who those clients and participants were. People who were so happy as well, and I'll let them start speaking soon, but you know, like what they were getting out of the programs, the fact that I wasn't just feeling like, oh yeah, at least I'm still making money, the fact that these people were doing the programs and their businesses were growing and they were still making money and their lives were getting better. And I'm just so grateful. It's it's continuously been, if there's one theme, it's always jumping before you think you're ready and just going for it, even when you thought, oh shit, well, this is the end of that lovely ride of traveling the world and doing classes internationally. But now the international classes are coming to us online. So how does it get better?
And one of the things before we kind of have a few lovely people who've attended the classes really start talking about what their experience has been, I just like to add about how, people assume that it is that you have to be at the effect of what's going on around you, right? And true empowerment and what the whispering set of classes, like I'm not going to say that I received this is this from the business whispering and this is this exactly from the body whispering. But it was one of the first times where I was given the permission and I was invited to a space where I did not have to be at the effect of what's going on around in the world. That does not mean that I was insensitive to the economy and what's going on and all of that, right? Like all of that. But then, hey, what can I choose now? What can I institute now? How can I look at it now differently? That I could create a greater world for myself, that I could create a different I could look at this business differently, right? So that sensitivity to looking at business differently, looking at your body differently, is something that I've gained immensely with the whispering set of classes, and I have used it more than like in the last couple of months than ever before now, because it's like, hey, it's like there's a little whack on your butt and it's like you wake up and then you better like smell some chilies and change something, and it's not from the space of, and there's been so much ease, as you said. So
The ease has surprised me, to be honest.
oh my god, totally. When I heard that there's going to be a lockdown, I really thought I'm going to lose it.
Yeah.
Surprisingly.
And one step beyond the ease is the happiness. I don't like this happy energy. I have a wonderful friend and actually a fellow access friend here, and we do bar swaps, and I was saying to her, I was like, Rosie, I like keep just going, I'm happier than a pig in mud. And I was like, I don't know where this keeps coming to me from, but I'm just so happy, right? And then I talked to Smriti and she's telling me the same thing. And I talked to other people. And the thing is, we're not, but I do want to address the sensitivity thing, because at no point for those of you that know me, it's never about being insensitive or being unaware or not taking into consideration everything going on around us, and not just like, it's great if I'm happy and it's great if I'm making money right now, but that's not the reality for everyone else. So that's not what I'm going to be interfacing all the time with when there's literally riots going on. We had major issues and concerns at a whole lot of different levels for us in the West, and then for us with each country specific stuff. And India would have had its own stuff, Singapore had its own stuff, America certainly had its own stuff. Each country has its own things. At what point, though, my question is, will you allow it to stop you? Will you allow it to override you and your awareness and what's possible for you in that moment? And will you allow it to dictate what's possible for you? Or is that when you're even more motivated to get into the driver's seat?
Actually, if Smriti is on call, I don't know if you're in a place where you can really, like, we'd love to.
Yeah, I was just waiting for Adila to finish and then come in. So, I've been with Adila now for what, 4 years or 5 or something like that? Attending every second class with you. Okay, I've lost count of the number of years. And we all know that we are infinite beings. It's just that we don't know how to be it. Okay. And all of the classes have basically, whatever I do, whether it's classes with Adila, other classes with other modalities, all come down to this thing that we are infinite beings, and there's nothing that we do not know, and we are aware beings. If you're willing to have an awareness, there's nothing that we cannot, create. And with the whispering classes, that concept kind of got clearer, that as an infinite being, if I'm willing to be aware, then there are whispers floating everywhere. And it's like, if I'm willing to be aware, I have this net and I just kind of catch it. Okay. And that's what I have been doing. So my life has opened up in the sense that I'm always like, okay, what else is possible here? And just before a few months, in fact, almost a year before the COVID happened, I was asking for something far greater. And I was asking to work internationally. And I was no more interested in small fry stuff. I was not interested only in limiting myself to local clientele. So my ask was pretty huge. And having learned that there are always whispers available, provided you're willing to have them. So somewhere these whispers were there and I followed up. So whispers can be there, but it's also important. What we've learned is, what I've learned very beautifully from Adila is being congruent. So I was very congruent with the whispers that I got. I acted upon them. And just a few months before COVID hit, I had already educated and trained myself to work with processes that work on a distant basis. And then to top it, when the body whispering became also distant basis, it was like, oh my God, like these are the kind of things I was asking for. So all the whispering classes have gotten me to that place where I'm willing to listen to what my life has to tell me. I'm an infinite being and I know plenty, provided I'm willing to acknowledge it. So I tap into that. Am I audible? So I tap into that and I become congruent with it. And as a result, this whole COVID time has been phenomenal. My income has probably doubled, more than doubled. My clientele has increased because now I work truly internationally. And I have also used this time to study even more and going in for more certifications. So I've just been following the whispers. And then comes the build your own empire. I was not really expecting to be on it because I thought, I've done so many business programs and, all of that. But then suddenly there I was. And it is so exciting. choice creates everything. And our first introductory, it was just like a, last class was not like a class. It was like, come on, now let's lean in to the possibilities. And we leaned in with the prime thing that moves everything in the universe, which is choice. So I see a vision with Build Your Own Empire. It's like you're there because you want to build an empire, but you cannot build an empire unless you have a vision for it. So we started out with visioning. I mean, that's the word I'm using. That may not be the word Adila will use, but it's like, what would you really like to have as your business, as your empire? And I'm one of those people who used to run away from business. Like business was like not my thing. And yet, if I want to create an empire, I want to be international, then what is it that I require as components? And I think this class or this program, the year-long program, enables us to start from there. What would I really like? And then not just what I would like, am I then willing to choose it? Because I may know what I want, but then Adila, with all those, some are structured things which sometimes we require. So with all of those structures and those exercises that we've got to do, it's like, okay, you know what? I've got to face this. I've got to look at this. Let's get going. And so I did my exercise of what would I like my life to be like, my short-term goals, my mid-term goals, etc., etc. And I already do all of this as part of my coaching with my clients, but it's such fun to do it with her. And, you get so many new perspectives. So we may have done plenty programs, and believe me, I do plenty. And yet each program brings its own flavor, so to say, and it gives you perspectives that you may not have looked at, and you may know it, but you've not looked at it from a very different place. And I think that's what life is. Every day, just keep exploring new perspectives. And it's opened up my life a lot. Adila, you've been such a gift in my life. And I love contributing to what you do. And in that, I receive so much. So I want to say thank you from the bottom of my heart. It's endless.
Thanks.
I love creating with you. That's all I'm saying.
Okay.
You're
Sorry,
fun.
but I got on only late. I was just clicking through Facebook.
Ro, you need to mute yourself, baby.
Smriti, thank you so much. I struggle with this component of calls, in case you guys haven't noticed. For me, it's not about jumping on to do another promotional call. For me, I was truly excited when these guys suggested, and Reshma, who's going to speak shortly, said, can we do a call talking about these elements that we're talking about in creating in our businesses and in our lives? Because when at a time like this, with the circumstances that we have just described with what's going on in the world, I definitely thought once, twice, 3 times about releasing a program called Build Your Own Empire. And in fact, I even had hesitation calling it Build Your Own Empire. And the reason it's called Build Your Own Empire is because, like all my other classes, Body and Business Whispering, the names come to me. They get downloaded to me. I don't cognitively think of what to call it. Build Your Own Empire, I was like, how on earth? And what on earth is this program going to be? And what am I talking about in terms of building an empire? Because I don't have an empire yet. My definition of what an empire is, like, I'm certainly not there yet. But I've realized that to build your empire, to actually build anything, you need to create the foundation, and then you need to create consistently. And you need to make choices at every choice point that makes the difference, because I work with and I see a lot of people in a lot of businesses. And how many of you know someone that had a business 12 months ago or 2 years ago or 5 years ago, and they no longer have that business? And how many of you, and there's nothing wrong with that. I'm not talking about people who change directions or they're choosing greater. Like, I stopped being a chiropractor to move into this space and I sold my practice. And I'm not talking about making a choice. I'm talking about the people that feel like they couldn't make it work, the money didn't work, the business didn't work out, and they had to give up on their dream, and they did not create the future. And with businesses and with many people, what I see is being stuck in that short-term mentality, with whether it's when you first start, because when you first start, you're in survival mode as a business owner most times. You're in the unknown. You're figuring things out. You don't necessarily know the best way to do things. Sometimes you learn the hard way. Sometimes it just takes so much longer than you expected it to. And then they're just so susceptible to the things that come in from the outside. So, for example, exactly what's just happened in the world with COVID hitting, the world going into lockdown, international travel being stopped, it's wiped out major businesses. There are major economies and businesses and companies that are struggling or are not going to make it, let alone the small to medium businesses. So it's not about making it wrong, but it was about being willing to have the possibility and actually choosing that even though this was happening in the rest of the world, doesn't mean you weren't going to thrive. Doesn't mean my business isn't going to make it. Actually, my target, and I did say this to Gary, I said, I'm going to come out of this situation better and stronger. And how do we change our mindset? And alongside our mindset, how do we change what we're doing every day in our businesses? How do we make the choices? And how do we consistently act to ensure that that business is still surviving and thriving, and actually 15 years from now, 20 years from now, it is an empire. It is something that is making a lot of money, is maybe employing a lot more people. Maybe it's something that's now passed on to your children. You've created a legacy business. It's not something that every week, every month end, every year, you wondered if you would be able to keep going or if you should throw in the towel, because you were always on the verge and you could be knocked over by anything.
Adila, I have a question. So this is exactly where most of us are functioning from right now, right? Like, we're on the edge where we'd just be probably knocked out any moment and with anything. And it could be our own sense of doubt that would probably knock us out of business.
Mm-hmm.
So to begin with, can you talk about who this program is for? Like, what is this program? Like, who would benefit out of this program the most?
Build Your Own Empire is a program that I created for people. Reshma, you would know. So I have two programs. One's called Business Upgrade. That's my foundational program. I call it foundational because you can do it at any time. But what I'm finding, so guys, I'm probably like a lot of you on this call. We're intuitives, we're seekers, we're healers, we're practitioners, we're heart-centered, heart-led people who want to make the world a better place, who love what we do. And there's a real difference between people who do the work because they love it versus they're doing it for the money or for the success or for some other reason. So what that does is that sets you up to not be, sometimes this might not apply to all of you, but this is what I'm seeing in my programs, not be as thorough with those business plans, those targets, that systemization, those having those procedures, that creating that foundation. So I have the business upgrade program to help you create those foundations, start to think about those systems, and get out of just spinning your wheels. Build your own empire. I was like, I want a program to get people to the next level now, because there's a lot of people I'm seeing in this specific strata where I still am too. It's just that I'm probably like just here, and I'm doing a lot of work. And like Smriti said, how I engage with my business, who I engage with, and where I put a lot of my attention and intention means that I'm going to be growing. But what I'm seeing a lot of my friends, fellow facilitators, fellow practitioners, people who are going to stay in this mid zone, this is who this program was for, because I'm actually really sick of us not being successful in all versions of all realities. Sick of not having the money part work, sick of not having that growth, as you say, sick of seeing them like fall over and say to me, oh, I had to go get another job, or I can't, choose this thing that I wanted to choose, whether it's a class or a holiday or an expensive purse, or make the choices or depend on someone else, whether it's for their finances or whatever it is. So this program, there is a prerequisite. You need to have had a business for at least a year. The reason I want that is if you've got a business, this isn't the program where we sit down and we think of a business idea for you. You have to have your business name, have what your services established, have some clients, be making some money, because this business is about scaling. It's about future creation, and it's about future proofing. I'm really passionate about that. And I'm really passionate about helping those people that I just mentioned, the me's in the world. You guys, my friends, my fellow facilitators, my fellow practitioners, my fellow healers, my fellow people who actually give a shit about the world, yet don't have the money to show for it.
May I come in here, Adila? So I have to tell you guys a little story, all right? So some years ago, when I first got introduced to Adila, and there's a very dear friend, Todika, and she said, hey, you know what? Adila has come to Mumbai, and would you like to, promote what she's doing? And she was coming with a body whispering class. I said, sure, why not? But what is the class about? And I had no clue. And in the evening, I met Adila at the Marriott, and she said, hi, how are you doing? What's up with you these days? I said, well, I'm trying to promote you without knowing what the hell do you do. I have like no clue what you do. Anyway, so she gave me like a bit of a taster, and I fell in love with it. And immediately, like, I could really talk about it because I finally got the energy of it. And suddenly we were like a whole bunch of people, friends of mine, contacts of mine, and we all did the little class. And we were barely, 15 of us. And after that, I remember going out with Adila, and we went and we sat, in something called the Harry's Bar. And we, over a drink, we asked the restaurant to give us some paper. and
Literally napkins, literally.
And we asked, what would we like to create in the world? Believe me, in that moment, we were way away from what our vision for the world was and how we wanted to contribute to the world. We had no clue how we're going to get there, but we were willing to dream. And we brainstormed, and she picked my brain and I picked hers. And there was this whole list of things that we came up with as to, if we had that level of, if we had that empire, what would be in place? So, we started from there. And so to have that in place, what do we need to do now? Okay. And that's how we started. So have we gotten to that place yet? No. But we were willing to start somewhere. And because we were willing to start, today, I'm not saying that it's all me or all Adila, but the whole, the whole, the whispering and everything that, you know, Adila's vision is where it has reached today, is because, you know, there was a vision that this is the impact I would like to make in the world. So we may not know right now, we barely have 5 clients or 10 clients, and you know, we have this big, we would love 100 people in our classes, 1,000 people in our classes. We don't know how we'll get there, but we can get there. I think the what I love is that we took that first step. We made that first choice. We were willing to dream, and then we were willing to do what it takes. And I've seen, and this was where I mean, I used to be in awe of you, that, you know, you would like just rush in there and handle all that was required technically, system wise. And that was the bit that used to keep me so limited. Finally, after so much struggle and after having, like, you know, gained so much from you, I finally gave Dattu my mandate. Okay, come on now, let's go for this website. I don't care like how it's going to happen. I don't know where the funds are going to come from, but we're going to do this. And the moment I made that decision, my business exploded and I could, like, you know, take care of everything. So yes, I wanted to share that yes, we dreamed of an empire, and we may not be there yet, like Kadila just said, but have we gotten somewhere? Yes, we've moved way ahead. Does that show that yes, we can move there too? Yes, we can. And that's what this program contributes to, at least in my universe.
And just to add to that, so consistently something that I will acknowledge, like I have done, is jumped in, not knowing how it's going to work out, but being willing to go, right? And this, I remember the part of the story Smriti was just telling us about, the part I remember the most is we're on these napkins writing down like lists of countries and just so many things. Like, you guys will see it in the next 10, 15 years, you're going to see the vision unfold. But we was taking names of cities and countries that I didn't even know of. Like, I had no cognitive awareness of, like, Hamburg at the time, or Germany, or these countries in Europe, or, as I'm saying, these countries in the
Singapore,
yeah,
Middle East. You talked about all those, and you're there now.
And I know. And that's why it's blowing my socks off, because if it's something that, I'll tell you something. You know, when people become successful, or you see people and they're on this pedestal in your mind and they're speaking to you and you're like, yeah, but I don't know how I would ever get there. Like, that's nice for you, but I don't know how I would ever get there. Well, I remember being really, really frustrated because I didn't know how I was going to get there. So when I say to you guys, whether it's in a class or in a call, like I was talking to Aradhana yesterday about something else, and I was saying, guys, if I can do it, and I mean this so genuinely, like, if I can do it, you can do it. And the only difference, and the only thing I see people not doing and following through on, is exactly that. Making that choice to jump and then backing it up with the action, with the consistency, and then implementing what's required, whether it's the systems, whether it's the support, whether it's the technology. So now where I'm at with my business, I've had to learn, and I had to learn to do a lot of things myself, as most of you will know, as entrepreneurs or solopreneurs. You have to learn how to do everything, or a lot of it, yourself, because the funds are limited and all of that. Now I'm at a point where I'm outsourcing most or a lot of my operations, but I still have to know, and I still have an awareness of how things work and what's required, and what's required to create a result. We're in the middle of creating a systems and procedures document for my business, because it's now big enough and we have enough people that it can't just all be in my head. and in my assistant's head, because we're taking on new people every week right now. And so we need systems that are able to be created and replicated for your business to be successful, even if you're having a bad day, even
So
if
may
like,
so that's, I mean, systems and procedures and just that, working with systems and procedures, probably you are one of the first people that I heard speak in the industry of coaching, facilitation, healing, etc. And that what I was exposed to. So as the question that Reshma was asking, right, the uh, Build Your Empire program is a 12-month long program. Could you speak a little more about, hey, of course, it is the whole energetic fine tuning with your business, but also you will be talking to us about the systems that are required. Can you say a little more? And also about the mastermind, if you'd like to say a couple of things about that too.
Sure. I'm perhaps a bit of a, I don't know what the word would be. Like it's either overachiever or it's highly optimistic. Actually, that's what it is, highly optimistic. So this program is, I was like, okay, well, we all know that energetic clarity, clearing, facilitation, and coaching, which is where I really shine, like is paramount. So of course, this is a mentoring, facilitating, and coaching program. But then secondly, I was like, but it's also a training program. It's also training and teaching how to do these things, how to implement the systems and procedures, how to figure out what you require. Wherever you're at, whatever level you're at in your business, it's identifying what the need is for now, but also future casting. Because the other thing people do is they only prepare for where they are. And then it's like they're surprised when their business grows and they need to respond to a growth need. And it's like, well, if you're going to have a successful business, you've got to like be prepared for growth, right? It would be like having a child, a baby, and not expecting the baby to grow. So like at 3 months old, like not going out and buying clothes for your baby when they're 4 or 5 months old, or not starting your baby to get ready to like start eating solids around 6 months, because you're just like, what? Where did this come from? How did the baby grow? I only got clothes for 0 to 3 months. Right?
Or applying to schools the moment they are born.
But it's like people don't do that with business. See, they'll do it with every other area of their life. They'll do it with other things that they expect. And this is the thing, we spend so much time and energy on like the social aspects of our life, on the fun aspects, on we will plan, how do we get our child into that school? We will plan, how do I afford that new Louis Vuitton bag? We will plan, how do I get, the super gold package for cable television, because that's what I really need. But we won't plan how to like have more success and growth in our business so we can have all of that other stuff with ease. So we can just pay for our child to go to whatever private school we want, because we can just write a massive donation check. I'm probably not allowed to say that in today's world. It's probably not kosher to do that anymore. But do you know what I mean? It's having the possibility, having the choice rather than the struggle. This is what I'm all about. This is, I had the most interesting conversation with Aradhana yesterday. I was on her talk show. And she kept talking to me about ease and how I choose ease and how come I keep choosing more, but I choose it with ease. And I was like, what? Who doesn't do that? Who's not motivated by ease and having more money? But apparently it's not. And then when you look around, whether it's because of how your parents, like what they chose, or what everyone around you is choosing, or what you've been led to believe, or all the things you hear and read about, and like how hard business is, how most businesses fail, how there's not enough money in the economy, we're about to have a crash, how whatever. We are not set up. And something I was saying to my husband like 2 days ago, I said, we are not educated financially. I said, if you are, it's through, like, you are not the rule, you're the exception, meaning you come from a family that's valued it, or is a business family. And so they have that mentality that they've passed on, or you had a mentor or a friend that took you under their wing, or you dedicated yourself personally to that financial education. Most of us, don't get brought up with, you can have strong financial security, you can create your future, you can be in control, you don't have to be dependent on loans, on credit, on government, on support, on subsidies, on wages, on retirement funds. That's not what we're taught. That kind of blows my mind now, but for the first 28 years of my life, I was in that system. And I come from a country where if you don't make enough money, like if you're really destitute, the government actually supports you. So there's actually a fail plan in New Zealand where, like, you can go on the benefit and you'll get like $500 a week to live off. And so it's actually okay to not create your life and rely on somebody else to save you. And I'm like, but how is that? Anyway, so I went down a little rabbit hole there. But coming back, yeah.
There's a question as well. Whenever you are,
Cool.
just invite Sharad to ask.
Yes, please go ahead.
Sharad,
hi, Adila. Always a pleasure to listen to you.
Hi.
Hi. So, as a freelancer, and I mean, a little bit of business, but, with freelancing, I'm an actor and a singer. So, I like to create things at home, but I always am plagued by the perfectionism that, we go through, because earlier you would hit a studio, you would go on a set, there would be 20 people doing the work that one would have to do, So I think I'm just waiting for this whole quarantine to get over and not creating right now, because I'm comparing it to how good a creative, a product can be. So can you just help me with that?
100%. We're all going through this. For example, the most tangible example I can give you, our classes were at the point where I would have hosts, we'd have like a hotel conference room, we had tech guys, we had sound guys, we had staff that made our tea and coffee and catered and all of that, right? And then you're saying, okay, Adila, well, now you've got your living room, you've got your home set up, and you're going to go beam out to the whole world. And your tech support, your catering, your support staff, your host, and good luck. And
right.
So two things. Don't let it stop you. When you have that energetic awareness that it's still possible, and not only possible, but actually imperative for you to keep going at this point, please keep going. Please don't give up. Secondly, you will actually see the beauty of how, I'm not saying there won't be things that you might not be able to improve on and you might learn, it might be a learning curve, but what is, every time you show up, what is it creating? What future possibility and what admiration from others, because there'll be many others in the same situation as you, and they will allow this situation to stop them. They won't put themselves out there. They won't try and make it on their own. They won't try and find a workaround. And so at the end of this period, they're not going to be in the industry anymore. And
Wow.
you're still going to be in the industry because you're not going to let this stop you. And that's admirable. And there's going to be people that you didn't even realize noticed, people that you didn't even know were watching, and people that you didn't even know you were inspiring or motivating, that you're inspiring and motivating. So keep going.
Wow, thank you so much. That's very, very inspiring. Thank you. We're going to create something today itself.
Well done. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you, Smriti.
What I'm going to do is...
Can I just come in for a
Sure.
minute?
Please go for it.
Okay, I think I froze. Can you hear me now?
Yes. We can't see your video.
Yeah, I think my internet is a little...
Sure. No problems.
Okay. So, uh, so when I was on the call last week, when I reached out to you and said, hey, can we just have a little talk about what this whole program is because I actually saw a whole new world that was available to me that I really, really wanted to share to the world. You know, I wouldn't want anybody to miss out on the possibility of truly having your own empire. And when I actually met you the same time that Smriti met you 4 years ago in 2017, I actually lied to my parents that the COP class was a 5-day class rather than 3-day class. And I actually hopped into your class. And I remember saying this to you then, and you're like, oh my God, how cool is that? So
thank you. I never knew that.
So from there, where I really didn't have a business in 2017, I really didn't know what I was doing with my life. I didn't know where I really wanted to go, and I attended your Body with Spring session. From there to now, where I've done your the 3-month business upgrade program, it's actually got me to a space of knowing that you know, just keep going, just keep creating, just keep doing what it is that you know is possible. And it's not only the energetic aspect of what business is and how you go about it, and it's actually about following the whispers. And I remember when I actually was coming to your Body with Spring program, I didn't want to be there. I cried that day. And I think I was the only fool who was crying in that class that day. And I was like, I don't bloody want to be here. And Adila was like, okay, you want to cry? You go ahead and you cry. and I so badly wanted to get on
Nice like that. You want to cry? Go ahead and cry.
So it's, and at that point of time, I was just new to access. I didn't know what business was. I thought I was not a business. I don't, you know, I'm not a marketing person. I can't sell things to. And 6 months from there, I started working with facilitators. I started working with Chandra and Nisha, and it all moved, it all changed. And I actually had a business. And I discovered a capacity with creation. And when last week the program that's build your own empire, I knew I could take that to a completely different level. I you know, my ask, like Smriti, has been of going global, has been of going international, of been you know, making my business big and actually having an empire of my own. So like, this is my invitation to you, like, guys, if you are really struggling with actually having a business, actually not knowing the technicalities of how to get there, not knowing how to make, you know, maybe you're only creating 10,000 rupees a month, maybe you're only creating 20,000 rupees a month, but what if by the end of 3 months, what if by the end of 6 months, you can create 1 lakh, you can create 1.5 lakh? And in this time, in this quarantine, in the time of Corona, where everybody thinks that, you know, this is the end of the world, we don't even know if you're going to survive it, if we don't even know if you're going to get alive, you're going to come out alive in 2021. So if this is really my invitation to you to actually come and explore, because each one of us has something to offer to the world. Even if 100,000 people are doing the same thing as you are, you think they're doing the same thing as you are.
That is...
So Adila is one who really, like, I really do look up to her when it comes to business and the whispering bit of it, where she literally listens to the whispers and includes her body and includes her business and includes this reality and not rejects it and makes this reality work for her. And that's the aspect I would really like in my business. So yeah, Adila, thank you so much for creating this program and inviting us to, you know, come on and be there.
Thank you so much. And something that I do want to say and just address here is the fact that these classes, these programs, B.Y.O.E doesn't work if the participants aren't there. Doesn't work if the uptake isn't there, right? So why I was so excited and interested, and my body was so excited about today, is someone like Reshma did the business upgrade, so the foundational program, and is just finishing up the last module of that, like literally next week. And she's already jumped into the advanced B.Y.O.E year-long building her empire program. That's a phenomenal choice. And I've got another person who attended the body whispering class and has made the money to do B.Y.O.E each month, because it's a monthly subscription, through body whispering sessions. Again, right now, at the time of Corona, through distant sessions. And again, clients from all around the world. She's been sending me messages and saying, hey, I've got a client from Houston wanting to have a body whispering session with me, and I'm using the money from the sessions to pay my monthly subscription for B.Y.O.E. And something that I want to just touch on, because here's what's interesting. There's a difference between attending a class. So how is this program different, and what's different? A class is a class where you would attend. You might have an energetic ask or a very tangible ask from attending a class, but you attend the class, you receive the changes, and you often move on with your life. The difference between that and attending an ongoing program, and why I made this program a year long, is I wasn't seeing the consistent follow through, and I wasn't seeing people like continue to create 3, 4, 5 weeks or 3, 4, 5 months after they attended a class. Often you have that high and that spike, and I'm not saying it doesn't continue to contribute, because I do all three. I offer classes, one-on-ones and programs, and I attend classes, have one-on-ones and get coaching done for myself. But the difference with coaching is it's an investment that you put in because you're expecting a result out. Now, this isn't about having projections and expectations. It's actually just how something works. It would be like when you go to the store to buy a bottle of milk and you hand over money. If you didn't receive the bottle of milk back, you haven't gotten a return on your investment. So coaching is slightly different in that a program like B.Y.O.E and Business Upgrade, we have quite tangible outcomes for the participants. The outcome for B.Y.O.E, what I was saying to the guys on the call on Wednesday, is in the next 12 months, in 1 year together, my target is to move them to where they would have achieved as much in 1 year together as they normally would have in 5. I want their businesses to grow, and for that success and for that growth and that scaling to occur to the extent where they might have on their own, without the guidance, without the mentorship, without the systems, and without the support, they might have got there in 2, 3, 4, 5 years. I want to get them there in a year. How the program is structured is very much to help you get that. It includes, like I said, the facilitation and the clearing and the mentorship to help clear the blocks. But then it includes the very practical and tangible information and skills and systems that might be required. And then, because I'm very aware of what I'm not an expert in, and I work with a lot of other experts, I'm getting on the guest experts, and I'm paying for them. I'm paying for the people who are the very best in their fields to come on and talk to these guys about how they can be better, or how they can start integrating being better at public speaking, being better at digital marketing, integrating and incorporating the things that are required in this reality for your business to scale and grow. So the difference with coaching is, if I'm investing, and I'm going to use dollars, but if you invest $200 or $2,000, whatever the investment is, the return should be much more, at least double what you put in. And that return with my clients and participants, kind of what makes it fun for me is that it's quite tangible. It's often a direct ROI in terms of financially, in terms of growth, in terms of change, so that they're not struggling to make those payments each month. The skills they're learning each month should be going into growing their business so that they're making more money, so that those payments are covered with ease. It's not just about the money, but it's important to address the money part of this, because for so many people, it's what we choose to allow to limit us. And it's why I see people not choose greater or make it about the money, but we haven't realized that the money should be made and be included. This isn't a choice where it's just money's going out and nothing's coming back in. It's like money's going out, you're getting so much back in, plus you're creating, plus you're growing, plus your life has changed. And then the final element that Thu briefly mentioned is a mastermind. A mastermind is getting together with a group of like-minded, aligned people so that you don't feel like you're all alone and nobody gets you, no one's on the journey with you, you're not supported, and that you can buddy up and use their resources, use their networks, use their platforms to help grow yours. Because when you're in a mastermind that's aligned, you're not going in to the same place, but you're going in the same direction. Okay. Any other questions?
No questions on the Zoom chat, though there's a very beautiful share from Dr. Namrata. She says, thanks Adela and Resh. I got that awareness too. So excited, and we are building the roots foundation of empire where all mankind and animals, birds, nature can thrive. The whole new world available to us. So grateful for this call. Corona is changing and repairing environment and whole system.
Oh, that's amazing. Thank you so much, everyone. I'm going to wrap up. I'm just going to let anyone who has, anyone from the round table that wants to add anything, we're going to wrap up because we'd allocated, a little bit less than what we've gone for this conversation. Whoever you are, no matter where you are, and no matter how you found out about this conversation today, I just want to say thank you for being here. I want to acknowledge your ability to create, whether you can acknowledge that or not. And I'd like to just encourage you to keep choosing. It's the only thing that we actually have. In a world full of uncertainty, in a world full of people who want to disempower you, impose their choices on you, and dictate to you who you are, how you can live, and what your life is going to be like, your choice and you being empowered in making those choices is the most important thing. And it's what changes the world. It's what will change our economies. It's what will change our future. And this is why I'm working so hard right now. I'm working, really long hours because I'm so inspired and motivated about this. And I'm so excited by the people coming on board and what I'm seeing, the choices I'm seeing people made and are making. So thank you so much. No matter where you're at, no matter what stage of your life or your business creation you're at, I hope this has just contributed to it, maybe inspired you, maybe given you something to think about. For those of you that are interested in B.Y.O.E, because of Corona, we are adaptable. This doesn't mean you're not adaptable to the changing situation. What we've done is we've actually extended the program. So the people who have joined, we've kicked off with the introductory call. We're going to continue with calls this month, but we're going to continue and extend the 12 months so that people can still join us for another 4 weeks or so, because they're starting to find out about the program and they're starting to want to choose to not let their environment be the limitation. So if this is for you, if you had heard about it or you hadn't heard about it, but until last week you had thought, I can't choose it, but now you're thinking, maybe I'll give this a go, or maybe I'll find out more about it. The first step is when you apply, you actually have a one-on-one with me, because I want to make sure it is the right fit for you. I'm not going to lock you into a 12-month program without talking to you first, making sure it's the right fit for you, and making sure it will be a contribution to you. So have the one-on-one if it's resonating with you, and then if you're good to go, you can still join up until August, and then we're going to kick off. And for those of you who are interested in the classes, we have Body Whispering in August online and Business Whispering in September. So lots of choices that are available.
And there is Baby Whispering. Isn't that sometime next week?
Yes, Saturday we have Baby Whispering.
So Adila, there's a quick question from Divya. She says, is this relevant to an Access Bars facilitator? Will that be considered as business?
Yes. Yes, if you are dedicated to your Access Bars business, it's relevant for any practitioner or facilitator. So the one clause that kind of acts alongside that you need to have a business for a year is if you are a practitioner or facilitator who has been seeing clients, but you really want to scale it, you really want to grow it. The other thing this program gives you, we didn't even mention it, is if you want to go on and become a certified business whispering coach like me, so you can work with other people in this capacity. If you want to add it to the facilitation work you can do, you need to do this program. So this program will help grow your business and give you the strategy and skills, but it's also giving you a qualification to be able to become a business whispering coach and work with clients all over the world. And we are creating the platform to help promote it for you. I want my coaches and my practitioners to be supported and to get you out there in the world. I love creating global business. So everyone, Smriti and Reshma, a lot of you that through, you're all talking about global business. Yes, me too. That's what I want to create for all of us. Sorry, Reshma, I interrupted.
Sorry about that. So there's somebody else also, I think she is in a business of matrimony, like arranged marriage thing. So she asked me, I think, I'm not sure, but I think she asked me, is that relevant for her as well? Or is it only for people who are in the coaching and the training and facilitation?
If you want to scale your business, it's relevant for any business. I specialize in service-based businesses. That means my top clients are facilitators, practitioners, healers, coaches, but also anyone in a service-based industry. That means real estate, coaches, if you're providing a service. If somebody pays you money and you provide them with a service, I help scale and grow your business. If you have a product-based business, I can still help you. If you have an e-commerce business, I will refer you on to someone else. That's not my area of expertise. If you have a tech startup, not my area of expertise. I'll refer you on to someone else. But service-based business of any kind, if you want to grow it, if you want to scale it, if you want to start making high 6 to 7 figures, that's the $1 million mark in US dollars. This is where this program is sitting. This is where it's at. And it's at an introductory price this year. We're offering it at a total cost for the whole year of $3,000 US. A month, that is $250, and that's what you pay. Next year onwards, it's definitely going up. This is our inaugural price point because I want to have some success stories to share. I want to get some of these guys up to the six-figure mark, high six-figure mark, get us close to the $1 million mark so that other people can be motivated and know it's possible for them too.
Thank you so much, Adila. Like, you're just so, I'm just so grateful that I did the lying bit in 2017 and got to your class, even if I was crying and didn't want to be there. But I am very grateful for my choices and for what I've created up until now. And I'm super excited to be on B.Y.O.E. and I'm super thrilled about where we'll go in the next 12 months. I'm sure it's going to be a brilliant ride and what else is possible from here on. So if anybody would like to reach Adila, you could reach out to Smriti, Dattu, me, Rashmi, one of us, and we'll get you connected. And like she said, you don't have to jump onto the 12-month program right in. You get to have a one-on-one conversation with her, get to explore if it's relevant to you or not, and then choose. So I would highly recommend that you get to the one-on-one and discover for yourself if this is what you're looking for. And yeah, what else is possible from here?
Thank you so much, guys. And I'm so grateful for all of you that have been on the call, for those of you that suggested the call, all of those people that Reshma just mentioned. Thank you so much for choosing and contributing. I'm forever grateful. So I'll talk to many of you soon, I'm sure. Take care.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you so much, and maybe